Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Salam sejahtera. In this video, I'm going to share with you on the topic of sampling technique and sample size. This is very important, particularly for quantitative research. Okay, before we go into the techniques of sampling, let us first discuss what is meant by population and sample. So population actually is a set which include all measurement of interest. For example, if we are going to study something on UNISA student, population is all UNISA student. Or if you want to study perception on certain issue to people in Terengganu, the population is the whole people in Terengganu. But normally when we do research, it is almost impractical or not practical to study population. Because why? Because population involve a group of large number of people, maybe 1 million, maybe like UNISA student 13,000, which is not practical for us to survey all of them. So that's why most of the time we do sample. Sample is a subset of population. For example, in the case of UNISA, the whole student population is about 13,000. However, the sample could be we study about 300 of the whole 13,000. Or in the case we want to study something about UNISA staff. UNISA staff now is about close to 4,000. So it is not possible to survey all the 4,000. So the sample might be we take 100 or 200 of the UNISA staff. So sample is a subset of the population. But remember, the way we take sample must be correct. If not, the sample that we take does not represent the population. It is very important for us when we take sample, the sample can represent, this sample can represent the whole population. And there is a way how to do it. Why we take sampling? So very simple, the reason why we take sampling, because population is very large, therefore if we take sampling, the cost is less, the time also is less, and it can be more accurate if the sample that we take can represent the whole population. Okay, so in terms of accuracy, it is better because the cost is less, the time is less, but still we get the accuracy. But given the sample must represent the population. And then another reason why we do sampling, because it is impossible to study the whole population. Imagine we have Malaysia, we have what? Close to 36 million now. So it is impossible to study all 36 million people in Malaysia. Okay, so target population to be studied, to which investigator want to generalize his idea. Okay, like I said just now, target population could be UNISA student, target population could be Terengganu, all people in Terengganu, target population could be all people in Malaysia. Okay, sampling unit, sampling frame, and sampling scheme. Maybe I just focus on sampling frame. Sampling frame is a list of all sampling unit from which sample is drawn. So sampling unit, sampling frame, sampling scheme is not that important. Okay, what you have to know is the target population. Okay, so the target population is very important. So you can skip sampling unit, sampling frame, sampling scheme. Okay, now we go to the techniques of sampling. Okay, the technique of sampling can be divided into two: non-probability sample and probability sample. And I'm going to focus more on probability sampling because probability sampling is better than non-probability sampling. I will let you know why probability sampling is better than non-probability sampling. But however, sometimes we do use non-probability sampling. Okay, the reason why we do non-probability sampling, for example, we do companion sample. It's very easy to access. Okay, very easy to access our respondent. Sample is selected from element of the population that are easily accessible. For example, in the case of you want to study about UNISA student, convenient sample could be you just target student which you go to the library for your convenience, so that it's easy for you to do the survey. Okay, and sometimes we use also snowballing. What do we mean by snowball? Snowball mean maybe you start with 10 respondents, but each of the respondent recommend another 10. So that means from 10 respondents, if each one of them recommend another 10 of their friend, that means we have about 10 times 10, 100 respondents. So that's snowball. Another one that we normally use, which is non-probability, is purposive, judgmental. You choose who you think should be in your study. For example, you want to study some product, you want to study perception on takaful product. So probably you can use purposive sampling. That means you choose only those who already have takaful policy. So that is purposive sampling. So sometimes we use convenient sampling, snowball, and purposive. Even though there are comment made if we use all the sampling. Okay. Okay, non-probability sample, probability of being chosen is unknown, cheaper but unable to generalize. So this is one general weakness of non-probability sampling, because the result that you get could be you cannot generalize to the whole population. Another one is potential bias, because you choose only certain segment of the population, so that might be there is a bias in there. And finally, I want to discuss probability sampling. Okay? Probability sampling, or sometimes we call random sampling. Okay? Why we call random sampling? Because each subject, each student, each people has a known probability of being selected. Or in other words, each student, each people has equal chance to be selected. That means if you were to do a random sampling, if you want to survey UNISA student, so you can choose any of the 13,000 UNISA students. So that means they have equal chance to choose. Therefore, in this case, there is no elements of potential bias. And the best thing about random sampling, you can generalize the result. You can generalize the result. That means even though you take a sample of 300 students or 400 students, but the findings of your survey could be generalized to the whole UNISA student population. And then you also can do hypothesis testing, okay, for random sampling. Okay, probability sampling are the best. So that's why normally we use probability sampling in our survey. And then we can ensure that the sample that we take can represent the whole population. Representativeness, this is very important. And then also precision, accuracy. So you know that your result can be generalized. Okay, now I want to go into method. So we have simple random sampling, we have systematic sampling, we have certified sampling, and we have multi-stage. I will skip. Okay, we have cluster sampling. So multi-stage I can skip. So I just want to focus on simple random, systematic, stratified, and cluster sampling. Okay, now we go to the first simple random sampling. Simple random sampling is very simple. I mean, you just choose anybody So for example, if I have a list of 48 students in this case, if I want to choose 5 of the student in my sample, that means I can choose anybody at random, secara rawak, at random. So in the case of we want to study universal student performance, so from 13,000, maybe we take 300. So that 300, if we take at random, we just pick anybody. So that's why we call it simple random sampling. Therefore, in this case, there is no element of potential bias. No element of bias because we pick anybody. We don't particularly like target any student. For example, we target only student from our faculty, or we target student from pengajian Islam. That one is not random. Okay, so that means we can pick anybody. We can pick anybody from 11 faculty in UNISA. So that's simple random. So you want to study, for example, perception of customer in Terengganu. Say you want to take a sample of 500 people. So then 500, you can take anybody. You can take a few from Kemaman, you can take a few from Marang, you can take a few respondents from Kuala Terengganu, from Kuala Nerus, from Besut, Setiu, Marang, and Hulu Terengganu, okay, to make up your sample. Yeah, so in this case, like, you can choose number 20, you can choose number 40, you can choose number 29, okay, you can choose number 27. This is random. Okay, that's why we got simple random sampling. So you can generate random number. So this one I can skip. Okay, systematic random sampling. Systematic random sampling. Okay, systematic random sampling. This is another random sampling, but sometimes it's not practical to use. Okay, why it is not practical to use? Okay, because for example, we have to list down all our population into numbering. In this case, let's say we have a small population of 48 students. Okay, so if we were to do random sampling, if we were to do systematic sampling, maybe we take student number 8, and then we take number student 28, and then we take student number 48. That means we take what? Every 20. Okay, we start with number 8, and then 20, 28, and 20, 48, 20, number 68, 20, number 88. So if you have a long list of name, so you take your respondent every 20. So this is what we call that's why we call systematic. Or maybe you can start with 8, and then you want to take respondent after 10. So that means 8, 18, 28, 38, 48, 58, and 60, and so on and so forth. But sometimes I said this is not practical because you have to list down all your population. Imagine if you have 13,000 students, that means you have to list all the students into number, from number 1 until number 13,000. And then you select. Maybe you take every 10 student, that means student number 10, number 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, okay, 90, 100, so on and so forth. So that's why we got systematic sampling. But sometimes, so if your population you can list down and you can give number, so probably you can use this method. But you want to study like, I mean, in the case of UNISA, maybe the 13,000 students, you can choose according to their metric number. Okay, now we go into a cluster sampling. Okay, cluster is a group of sampling units close to each other, crowding together in the same area or neighborhood. Okay, let's look into this diagram. So this, for example, you have a small community. You divide into section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4, section 5. So you want to do a survey for this population. I mean, you can take like 4 from section 1, 4 from section 2, 4 from section 3, 4 from section 5, 4 from section 4. Okay, that's what we call cluster. Okay, But in this cluster, dalam cluster ni ada pelbagai orang. Dan orang ni mungkin sifat-sifat dia tak